So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about why you need at least two business models to create wealth. If you want to become rich, if you have such aspirations, why you need two business models, and I'm going to be covering that in this video. Before I get to that, let me introduce myself. My name is Prithvi Chauhan, and I'm the founder of a healthcare investment company which is based in UAE. And in the last couple of years, I've negotiated several complex multi-million-dollar mergers. I have been in business partnerships with billion-dollar company CEO who have met Barack Obama and Richard Branson. And this person was founding CEO of a $3.5 billion company. I am also in a business partnership with several top lawyers who have advised on $13 billion bank mergers. So that's the caliber of people that I've been in business partnerships with. I started out from very humble beginnings and I arrived at this position. I have started over 7 businesses. Not all of them worked out, but with each one of them, I learned different lessons. I've done over 50 courses on entrepreneurship, self-development, and various other subjects which are related to entrepreneurship. And that's my background, that's my track record. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about why you need two business models. So when you're starting out, typically you would face this dilemma, and I face this dilemma also, is how to pick the right business model. And there are so many types of business models. It's a complete overflow and avalanche of ideas that you have available in today's media space, and a lot of the people are offering a lot of things. So how do you actually choose and position yourself? And based on how you position yourself, success would be determined by those decisions. So before you start out, you would have all of these business models to choose from. How do you actually position yourself? So this is something that I faced for many, many years, and I kept finding new things to experiment with, and I did experiment with quite a few things. But ultimately, I had to sit down and define, what do I want? And I wrote down a number that I wanted, and I wanted to make $1 billion, and I was desperately looking for a business model that would allow me to do that. And I was also struggling to pay my expenses. And there was this dilemma that I faced, which is, what do I focus on? You know, if I pick one, which is paying the bills, then it doesn't fulfill me, because I keep thinking about this $1 billion opportunity. And when I'm positioned to create the $1 billion opportunity, I'm running out of cash and I'm not even able to stand on my feet. You know, how am I going to create this company? And this is a dilemma that most of the entrepreneurs face, is that they cannot pay their expenses while they're building a company. And a lot of the people who are watching on the channel, I've had personal messages, people messaging me that they want to leave their job, they want to leave whatever they're doing, and they want to just go on this adventure of creating $1 billion company. And as much as I appreciate that courage and that boldness, it's not the most wise move. So here is what you want to do. You know, not every business model is going to get you to $1 billion or get you to create wealth. You know, not every business model is designed to do that, is geared to do that. Several types of business models have different intentions. For example, Robert Kiyosaki, in his book, Retire Young, Retire Rich, he talks about this concept of security, comfort, and getting rich. And he talks about an incident where the rich dad asks him, you know, what's the number that you want that would constitute as being rich for you? And he gives the number. And he says, now think about a number which is a comfort number and a number which is a security number. So you need to have these three numbers. You need to have a number that would allow you to pay your expenses and allow you to survive. That's your security number. Let's say it's $50,000 a year or $40,000 a year, right? Or $60,000, $70,000 a year. That's your survival number. You cannot go below that. The second number that you would need is the comfort number, which could be $200,000, $500,000. And the third could be the rich. What would you consider as being rich? A number could be $50 million, $100 million, $200 million. Well, once you define these three, you can choose a business model based on that, and you can also allocate time based on where you are in this phase, in this journey. You cannot really start working on getting rich if you're not able to survive. And I have been reached out to hundreds of people by now. They've messaged me, emailed me, and I've looked into their situation. And there is a category of people who are unable to pay their expenses right now, and they want to create a $1 billion company. I appreciate the vision, but that would not be the first step. The first step for you would be to stand on your feet, to be able to create this amount where you are able to survive. And typically that tends to be $5,000 to $10,000 a month. You have to get to that level before you even think about attempting to create wealth and start executing a second business model from that position. So this is the reason you need two business strategies. You don't have to quit your job, or you don't have to stop doing what you're doing. What you have to do, or what you want to do, is you want to reduce the time that you spend on security, okay, on the security box, on the security number. So if your number is $50,000, you may be spending all of your time to generate $50,000. That is obviously not a healthy place to be in, where you're spending all of your time to generate $50,000. You want to reduce your time, and you have to develop strategies. You have to come up with ways where you can do that. You may have to change your business model altogether. You may have to change jobs. You may have to change careers. You may have to develop new skills. But whatever you have to do, you have to reduce the time where you are able to survive. Not all of your time is going towards survival. And that's where most of the people are. Most of the people are spending all of their time trying to survive, trying to pay their expenses. And what you want to do instead is you want to spend little time, as little as possible, to make sure your expenses are paid, and then the remaining time you need to find a vehicle which can deliver you to create wealth. So let's look at this second layer of vehicle. Well, the first layer, the first form which will deliver you comfort and security could look like a consulting business, could look like a job, could look like a small business. And the second vehicle that will deliver you to create wealth will be more around starting a company that can actually scale to a big size. So it could be a tech-based venture, it could be real estate, it could be buying multi-million-dollar businesses, which is something I teach. And then you have crypto, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Typically people have a job, they accumulate savings, and then they want to invest their capital, right? That's a very typical model based off of which people retire. But if you want to not retire comfortably, you want to be rich, then you would have to take part actively in creating a company. It won't be enough for you to just invest in the stock market or invest in crypto. You would have to create something which is of big size and that is valuable, that is extremely valuable to the marketplace. And typically that happens with forming a second vehicle, for your second business venture, which has the potential of going really, really big. I recently met a year or two ago a business owner, a healthcare business owner, who had built a couple of $1 million worth of business, and he was in his 60s, and he told me, Prithvi, I regret that I am not doing what you are doing, and you are doing something really big. And this has been my regret, that I worked in this little clinic all my life and I wasn't able to do something really big. So you don't want to do that. You may have a business, you may have a job, but not all of your time can be spent on that just to maintain that position or grow a little bit every year. If you're doing $50,000 to $100,000 a year, or a little bit higher than that, it doesn't actually, if you want to create wealth, it doesn't actually help you to keep working on that job harder and harder and increase your income from 100,000 to 110 to 120 to 150. Putting more time in $100 million, $200 million, on $100,000, $200,000 opportunity is not going to help your case, because you're spending more and more time on this vehicle that was supposed to deliver security and comfort. So you have to categorize the career that you're in. Is this giving me security and comfort, or is it going to get me in a position to make a lot of money and to create wealth? If it's only giving you security and comfort, it's extremely important that you have that, but you have to prioritize how much time you spend on it. If you're fumbling, if you're not able to pay your expenses, then you have to focus all your time on this and bring it in order, develop some skills, and create that security for yourself. Once the security is created, that's the time where, and you've understood the tricks of the trade, now you can start to reduce the time. It actually doesn't help, if you want to create wealth, to put more and more time into this vehicle, into this career, into this venture that's designed primarily to pay your bills. This thing helps you to pay the bills. That's it. Working harder and harder at this job is not going to help you, or a business. At some point, this business model has to evolve, or you need a second business model that can actually create wealth for you. Sometimes this business model that's paying your bills can be scaled to create wealth, but there are rare cases where that happens. Typically, you need a second vehicle which can create wealth for you. So I want you to start looking at this second possibility, the second vehicle which will allow you, which will put you in a position to create wealth. I remember my brother was making a couple of $1 million a year, and we were in a very good position as a family, and we would sit down and have these meetings. How can we go to the next level? We kind of hit that saturation point with this business, and it's taking all of our time and it's producing money, but how do you go to that next level? How do you crack that next level? And the answer was in a new business model, either in the same industry or in a different industry, but a new business model. This is where I happened to meet Dan Pena. I did 2 of his seminars, the Quantum Leap Advantage and Quantum Leap Advantage Hardcore. Both of these costed about £20,000 at that time, and now they are worth $40,000 each, I believe. And this is where I discovered the business model of buying companies. I already knew about real estate, and a lot of the people have created wealth through real estate, but there is a huge amount of money that people have made in mergers and acquisitions, buying companies. And I'm talking about BlackRock, Blackstone, even Donald Trump has acquired several companies and created wealth through that. Grant Cardone is getting into mergers and acquisitions as well. And you've got several individuals who created wealth. Carl Icahn is another guy who created wealth. So you can study people who created wealth, and you would find these patterns. Either they got into real estate, or they started to acquire companies, or they started to invest in companies. But they always divulged, they changed their business model. An actor who's been making a lot of money diversifies and moves into something else that can create wealth for him. So you have to think from that standpoint. Where are you spending your time? How much time are you spending? If your survival is taken care of, if you are at a comfort level, investing more time in that company doesn't help you. You need to start looking in a different direction, or you could stay there. I know a lot of people who do not have an intention to create wealth. They want to live a comfortable life, and the rest of the time they want to spend with their family, they want to travel the world, and that's completely fine. But there are certain other groups of people who are obsessed, like me, who will not be satisfied with that life. At the end of my life, I would not be satisfied if all I did was lived in comfort. I always want to push the envelope. Elon Musk is another guy. He doesn't have to work, but he keeps working. Donald Trump is another guy who doesn't have to work, but he keeps working. So if you are one of these individuals who want to create wealth, there will be a price to pay with your time, with risk, your energy. But you need to start thinking about the second business model. You may have a job, you may have a small business, and that's giving you security and that's giving you comfort. That's great. But if you're in this position and if you have a desire to create wealth, you will need a vehicle that can allow you to do that. And I know 3 primary ways to do it. One is real estate, that I have seen a lot of people do that. Another is mergers and acquisitions, which is far more powerful and lucrative than even real estate. And third is a tech venture, which we have seen Mark Zuckerberg and several other guys, including Elon Musk. He started off in tech, create wealth. So tech is also another way where a lot of people have done it. It tends to be a little more risky, but tech is kind of that industry where the winner takes it all, right? If you find a business model, it picks up momentum, it just becomes a monopoly, So that's tech. Another way is mergers and acquisitions, and another way is real estate. So if you're interested in positioning yourself to create wealth, if you're interested in learning this second phase of a business model that can potentially help you create wealth, then I've discovered something. I've discovered this world of buying businesses. I've met over 300 different, I've met and spoken to over 300 different healthcare businesses. I've seen the numbers. These are multi-million-dollar companies that are already profitable. Instead of creating a company from scratch, you identify a company that's already producing revenue and already profiting, and you just start buying these companies, one after the other, using banks' money. And the reason bank lends you the money is because these companies have revenue, have sales. These are not just pie in the sky companies. These companies have a standing in their industry, and they have a revenue, multi-million dollars in sales, and they have profit. So you're acquiring profitable companies using banks' money. It's very similar to a real estate mortgage, where you buy a piece of property that the property that you're buying itself becomes a collateral, and you can have a tenant, and the tenant pays off the debt. So it's actually, in some cases, you can do a no money down, where you buy this piece of property, and the cash flow that the property produces, you can use that cash flow to pay off the bank. The difference between real estate and mergers and acquisitions is that typically in healthcare, which is where I recommend most people to get into, the cash flow is far more than real estate. So you have a business that's producing far more cash flow than what a real estate property would produce, and you can easily service the debt depending on how you structure the deal. And a lot of the people ask me, why would somebody sell you their business if they are doing so much profit? And that to sell you their business for a very low price, because a good deal is something that you can buy cheap, that you can pay very little for, and you buy this multi-million-dollar business. Why would somebody want to do that? The reason they want to do it is because they are 60, 70, 75-year-old, 80-year-old individuals who have been running their business for last 20, 25, 30 years. And they're tired, they don't have a succession plan, and they need somebody hopefully young, who has a team who can acquire this business, their business. Another reason they want to sell you is, you would have heard so many people who buy properties, right? We all know about people who buy properties. How many people do you know who buy companies? You know, there is a very few group of people who know how to buy a company, because there is this common belief that you need to have expertise how to run it, you need to be qualified, you need to be a doctor to acquire a healthcare practice. There are all of these preconceived notions due to which people don't acquire companies. People feel more comfortable with real estate and they acquire real estate, but they don't acquire companies. Very few people are acquiring companies, and companies are huge in number. In UAE, I remember in the healthcare sector, there were about 5,000 companies in healthcare alone. In USA, in one of the sectors that one of my clients is looking to acquire companies, he said there were about 40,000 companies. 40,000, I mean, that's crazy amount of companies. These companies, most of them do not have a succession plan. They don't have anybody to sell this to. They maybe have a buyer to buy their house, but they don't have a buyer to buy their company. So there is a scarcity of buyers in the market. The age of the owner is beyond retirement, and they don't have a succession plan, which means their kids don't want to take over the business. When you have these three combination of things, and it has a rich cash flow, so it has a healthy cash flow, 20 to 40% margin in relation to the revenue. I mean, you have cash flow, old owner, and not enough buyers. These, and too many of these companies. These three or four factors allow you to price the company at a low amount, and you can acquire these companies using bank debt, because you're not paying too much money up front. You're paying some amount of money up front, and you're paying them off using the cash flows of the business. So you do one deal, second deal, third deal, and you keep buying businesses, and then you have a portfolio of these private companies which you can then sell for a very high price. Because a small company, the price at which they get sold on, and a very large portfolio is different in mergers and acquisitions. A small company which is worth $1-2 million may not have a lot of value compared to a portfolio of 20-30 companies all doing about $50 million. If you get to that size, you can exit at a very high multiple. Again, every market is different, every region is different, but typically larger companies in mergers and acquisitions are valued highly compared to the smaller ones. So all you're doing is acquiring several small companies, profitable ones, bringing them together into one large or medium-sized group, and then selling it to a private equity firm or a bigger healthcare company. So that's the business model of mergers and acquisitions. You buy low, you sell high, you buy undervalued companies from desperate, motivated sellers, and you create a group based on that. It's a very similar principle to, you know, back in the day when emperors would conquer kingdoms, right? A big emperor starts conquering smaller kingdoms, or an aspiring warrior starts acquiring smaller kingdoms and creates a big kingdom. Well, this is the same thing. You know, you are finding these small businesses which have these aging kings, and you are, instead of going to a war, you're just negotiating an agreement and inheriting their small kingdom and creating a decent size kingdom, and then ultimately selling this to even a bigger kingdom who wants to expand. So that's the business model of mergers and acquisitions. It's an opportunity to create wealth. There are obviously risks involved, but this is a vehicle where you can create wealth for yourself. If you're interested to learn how to do this, if you're interested to position yourself on how to do this, reach out to me. I have a mentorship program. I offer one-on-one mentorship as well as a group mentorship to serious entrepreneurs. I'm accepting applications. You have to apply for it. You have to qualify for it. I would have to assess whether this is the right thing for you or not. You need to be at the right income level. You need to be in the right region, which has an ecosystem where you can do this. And I mentor individuals in regions where I have already seen results. So if there is a region where I have seen results, I'm taking clients from those regions that I personally know people have acquired businesses. I am taking clients from those regions. So you have to qualify. I would give you an application form to fill. Just reach out to me on any of the platforms, Instagram, Gmail, LinkedIn, or Facebook. I'll leave the links down below. Just send me a message referring to this video saying that you're interested in the mentorship program, and I would give you a form to fill. And then I offer one free consultation call, and everybody gets one free consultation call. Those who qualify. I don't take calls with people who will not qualify, who do not qualify, or who are not serious, or who are not positioned in the right region and are not at the right income level. People who are in the position to do this, I will take the free consultation call. We would assess which mentorship is right for you, if this is for you or not, and then we will take it from there. So if you're someone who is serious, I have got the Group Mentorship Program coming on 29th May. And the one-on-one is still open. I have a couple of seats left in that as well. Reach out to me and I'll talk to you soon.